right. My name is Teboho Ndongela. I'm known by my professional name, King B the Great. I am an artist and a director from a company called Istanbul Music. It's a record label in actual fact. I think the fact that I was different from the predominant number of the people in the community. I faced things like being excluded in a lot of things, especially growing up, to say that I could not play with guys because he gets a manana in Sesotho, to say the least. And then you would find that you would be called names, and typically this is what happens everywhere, to say that you are being called offensive names deliberately because you're just different from us. In that sense, we don't regard you as human, you understand? So those are some of the things that I experienced as a child, but I had a way of combating them in actual fact. Okay, maybe to say some of the names, it's like they'll call you CC boy. And I'll tell you one thing, I don't think it's an offensive name, but the intention behind it will tell you exactly as to what exactly the person is trying to achieve with regards to addressing you with that kind of name. And I know a Zulu word also called Istabani, you understand? They'll also call you that, and it obviously means gay for obvious reasons, but the intention behind why they're using that specific word is what would actually tell me as a person to say that, okay, this one is actually trying to make me feel inferior. You understand? I didn't have to come out of the closet, fortunately enough. But I'll tell you one thing, I grew up very feminine. So, which is another thing that I think is a misconception, that when you're feminine, automatically you become gay, you understand? But however, in my case, I was feminine and gay, so it was a case of me just being myself and my parents understanding me to say, okay, as opposed to buying him a car, let's get him a doll, because that was my preference, you understand? So to actually tell my parents that I'm gay, that's something that I've never done, you understand? Because they've always understood me as and how I am. I don't know if they understood the nature of my being, my character, my personality, but they just took me as I am. And because I've never really introduced somebody to my parents and say, this is my partner, that is also maybe something that will make me understand as to where are they in terms of my sexuality. But I'll tell you the honest truth, inside my home, I've never had difficulties growing up. I've never been told by my dad that me being me is wrong, you understand? Or me being 30 years old now without a kid is a problem, you understand? I think they've came to terms of understanding it, as much as they haven't spoken about it with me per se. And with that being said, it makes me realize that how my parents look at me is me being humane before anything. I'm not an activist, for one, and maybe I'm not the right person to answer that, or maybe I should do my research. But then I think the difference between calling it a community and the classification of the alphabets, the L, the G, you understand, in my opinion, is that whoever came about with that was trying to be as inclusive as possible, because I'll tell you one thing, that the LGBTQ, it's being extended. There's now plus, there's like an I now, I think, I'm not sure. But then my idea of what they are trying to do, as opposed to just saying community, is to just be as inclusive as possible, because now I may be gay, somebody else may call themselves a feminine gay, you understand, or a bottom, you understand? There's so many things. So I think they're trying to be as inclusive, to say the least. Yeah. Yes, definitely. And I'll tell you about me specifically and a couple of people who are gay as myself. And by gay, I don't mean necessarily men. I mean gay as a collective, male and female, that we are so brave. You understand? I think that is our voice to say that, yes, you may call me Istabani, yes, you may say I'm gay and I'm inferior, but when I come out to the public, you will definitely not even try to tell me that because of my confidence. So that is our most powerful voice, in my opinion, to say that walking up, standing up tall is one thing that will make you level up with everybody else, like the kind of person that you are. Yeah, we are slowly getting there, and I think I can say yes, I can say no, because there's a portion of people who truly get the idea, and it's not necessarily an idea, but it's people's lives in actual fact. And it goes back to what we spoke about in terms of the LGBTQ as opposed to community, to say that South Africans want to question the fact that why do you want to say you are bottom as opposed to just saying you are gay? You understand? There's still people who want to understand us too. Do you want us to treat you as a human being once off, or do you want us to label you? And unfortunately, I can only speak for myself. I'm not necessarily generalizing to say gay people want to be addressed like this or be categorized like this, but in my opinion, for me, I am gay, that before anything, you understand? Everything else about my femininity, I'm a guy, I have braids, that doesn't matter. That just forms my personality, my character, the nature of my being, you understand? But sexuality-wise, which is something that I feel like people confuse between character and the true sexual feeling, to say I desire other men. It starts there before the other classifications, to say, okay, now I'm a transgender, now I am bottom, now I am bisexual, whatever other the branches that we find within the LGBTQI community. Before that, there's me being gay, being attracted to other men, and then the rest just forms me as Teboho Ndongela. I'm a gay rapper. That's the first one, and I have a problem with it because I am a musician before anything. It's the same principle as being humane before being gay, and being a musician before being a gay musician, you understand? And I tried, at first, it worked for my career to say, oh, there's a new gay guy who's rapping in the hood. So it would be like a sort of like a marketing strategy to push my brand. However, I came to the realization to say, but I'm great at what I do. I'm just as incredible as the next guy who's been in the game 10 years ago, or whatever the case may be, you understand? So I had to abort being classified as a gay rapper and start establishing myself as King B, the great, the brand, the musician, somebody who can be booked at Back to the City, not because they are gay, but because they are great, you understand? Yes. So that's the main stereotype, being defined as a gay artist as opposed to being an artist. I'll tell you one thing, pay scale wise, it's a huge problem because anybody will just look at you and just think, because you're gay, I can underpay you. I've went through that experience so many times, and such that I feel like I also have to make efforts 3 times more than a regular rapper to get a show, to get the same treatment as the next person at a show, you understand? It's some of the things that I look at it on an intellectual level, as opposed to just trying to think of myself as being gay and trying to accept it that, okay, because I'm gay, and you understand? So that's just some of the things that I'm facing. And when you ask somebody to work with, they want to look at you before trying to understand the work, because I'll tell you one thing, I'm not a big collaborator because I'm still trying to solidify my ground. But to think about people that I've tried to bring to my space to work with, I could tell that they want to confuse me being in their space just because I'm gay as opposed to actually working. So it's some of the things that I have to deal with, but I have true people that I also work with who are just real niggas to me. And on a real nigga, I'm a real nigga, I'll tell you that. So yeah, I think those are some of the things that I'm facing in the industry, and I'm not even victimizing myself because I'm putting in the work anyways, and the work is going forward, you understand? And I don't know how far outside Gauteng province am I yet to experience maybe proper treatment, you understand? But I'm yet to figure that out as to whether is it something that's happening specifically in my hood or is it something across the country. With regards to me being a gay person and being in the industry, you know what, and I feel like we also do it ourselves. Want to make our own shows, like LGBTQI specific shows. There's nothing wrong with it, but when I think about it, it's like, do you want to be classified with everybody else, or are you really trying to isolate yourself? You understand? Yes, I do perform at those shows because it's business before anything, and I'm part of the community before anything, you understand? However, I just have confusing ideas between why do we want to isolate ourselves, yet we also want to say, but we are humane, you understand? So for me, I feel like we must just penetrate as opposed to isolate ourselves. You know, I would want to cancel that in my line of work, to say that, oh, but we must do our own thing. You understand? I have a problem with that because I want us to actually penetrate as opposed to isolating ourselves. I'd like to cancel that on our side because we are not the victims. You understand? We have our fair share of contributing to maybe triggering the stereotypes ourselves. And this is just from my perspective, you understand? And for everybody else who's outside the community and they actually form part of the business that I'm in, unfortunately, perception is the truth. So that's just one thing that is not in my control. But I would cancel people trying to look at you prior to actually reviewing your work, and then they can have an opinion about you. You understand? That's the one thing that I would cancel, and it will bring about balance between what we want to achieve, inclusion, and just being one. Being brave means being self-aware. That's the fundamental basis of being brave, because if you're self-aware, nobody's going to tell you about you. Nobody is going to tell you what you like. Nobody's going to tell you what to do, when to do it. So self-awareness for me is the fundamental principle of being brave. And then the second one has to be being assertive. You understand? And which is in line with actual fact being self-aware, because if you can make your own decisions, that's the kind of way of showing your bravery, if I may say. You understand? And that's according to me, of course. And one other thing about being brave is to have a voice, whether or not you are right, whether or not the next person is going to have an opinion about it, because at the end of the day, we are human. Human nature can never be figured out too, especially psychological part of it. We look at life differently. So I think if you are able to speak your mind, as in how it is, without trying to filter out your environment, without, in fact, filtering out your environment, that's when you are at the highest level of bravery, in my opinion, because you can speak without thinking what the next person might, because also you can never fear the unknown. You know what I'm saying? So for me, bravery is actually not fearing the unknown, to sum it up.